Hello everyone, and welcome to our web seminar, How to Create a Digital Publication Based on an Existing InDesign Document using our plugins for Adobe InDesign. The presenter today will be Matthieu Kopp, Aquafadas CTO, who is responsible for all the software development at Aquafadas. And Matthieu, you still need to share your screen, and then we should be ready to go. How we organize those webinars is that we will, to avoid any background noise, we keep all attendees in listen-only mode. And and also at the end of the webinar, when we have our question and answer session, we ask you to put in your questions through the questions panel in GoToMeeting, and we will then read those questions to the audience and answer those questions. So with this, I would like to hand over to Matthieu and get our presentation started.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome to all of you to this webinar. So today we are going to explore how to use existing documents and turn them into rich digital publications to be viewed on the iPad. Familiar with our solution, I really invite you to go to our website at aquafadas.com and go to the pre-release software section where you can download our tools. I will quickly introduce the components that make this solution, and so for those of you who know it, well, I need to spend a few minutes to.
Hey Matthieu, this is Rainer. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We have a couple of requests that you need to get to the microphone closer because you're difficult to understand.
Okay, is it better like that?
For me, it's better. Let's see what the audience says. Yes, it is better.
Okay. So let's get started and talk about the various components of our solution in InDesign. There are really two visible parts to the solution in InDesign in the form of extensions. And to install them, simply go to our website, download the installer package. It will do everything for you and install everything that is required. So those extensions, the first one of them is called the project manager. This is the one that's in the center of your screen, and this extension is where you actually manage your project. A project consists in a series of InDesign documents that you can we will stitch together at the end of the publication process. So you can really slice your documents or your publications into several InDesign documents, as I'm sure most of you are already used to do. And the project manager lets you very conveniently work with several documents inside the same project. So here you can see the project manager. On the left-hand side, there is the list of projects that I've created, and on the right-hand side, I can see the project structure. So this project I currently selected, Fire Balloons, has only one InDesign document in it, and as you can see, I could use the import button to add more documents and build my full project using those documents. The second component of the solution is the interactivity palette. I'm going to show it later on inside the document to see how you work with it. It's really where all the interactivity elements will appear, and where you can actually add behaviors as well as interaction and enrichments to your frames. There is a third component that's somewhat more hidden, which is running in the background here. It's a web server and a database server. So although it looks a bit complicated, it is not really, because this component is installed as part of the installation process. So it will download MAMP, which is the software that we're using, which is an open source software, to your disk, install it, and configure it properly as part of the installation process. The only thing that you need to do is start MAMP before you start working with InDesign. If you forget to do so, the plugins will tell you and will even be able to launch it automatically. So this is the third component. And the reason for that component is that it is the central repository where we store all the data. That is the original documents on which you're working, plus all the enrichments, plus all the generated data that we produce. For example, when we export a file, we store it into that database as well. So let's get started and create our first document. I will use the project manager and use this little plus button at the bottom left to create a new project, and I will choose the project type to be AV PDF. This is our terminology. It's not the best one for now, but we might change in the before we release the final version. It simply tells that we're working with an existing document that we will export as a PDF layer. And on top of this layer, we will render all the enrichments. This is what it says. I will call it okay. So this is my first step is to create this project. As you can see, the project structure doesn't show much. It's an empty project. I now have to add content to it. And for those of you who have followed the webinar on Tuesday, we showed the AVMag format. And in AVMag, you could actually create pages directly from here. But in this case here, in AVPDF, we don't. We only let you import existing documents. You can import as many as you want, but you have to work with existing content. So I will import a document, which I have prepared here. So what it's doing now is reading that document, and it will also save a copy in the database. It will check all the links, check all the images that I used, and store them centrally in the database. So really, if I worked with a print document, now when I go to digital, when I go to enrichment, I will work on a copy of that document, of whatever my print document was. I will be able to add pages, to do lots of things in InDesign as I work normally, but I'm working on a copy that's been stored into the database. As you can see, this article, the document shows up here, and it has 9 pages. And my choice was to work. I'm sure lots of you are working in very different fields and working with different document types. I've chosen to work with a very specific type of document, which is a book. Which has this sort of very landscapey format, and which has images, which has also some text at the end. And I just want to show you what happens when you work with something that is absolutely not formatted for the iPad in its original form, and how you can get the most out of it. So what we will do is we will explore some of the functionalities of enriching that document by doing enrichments on images, adding guided reading on text, and I will show you what that is. And we will do most of those operations in a manual form. That means I will go to the various images and do my enrichment. You must know that there is a way in our solution, and I think it's pretty unique, to do all those enrichments in a very automatic way. Unfortunately, I won't show it today simply because we want to dedicate a special webinar to this solution, and because we have a patent in progress that that does not allow us to show everything in full detail. But it's very important to know that you can enrich a document, add simple things to images such as going to full screen, add guided reading automatically, add reflow automatically, and then do the manual tweaks that that you need to do before you can publish. So let's start by working with, for example, an image, and I now go to my interactivity palette, which reveals all the possible types of enrichments that are available for that kind of component. So you can see by selecting the image frame, I can now turn this image into a slideshow. I can turn it into a button. I can add audio. I can generate. I can turn that frame into an HTML frame. What I will do is I will work with this very simple picture enrichment. So what I will do here, by selecting picture enrichment, I'm presented with this user interface that lets me do very simple things on an image, such as bring the image in full screen when I tap on it. It also lets me add Ken Burn effects to an image. Lets me add a caption. It lets me add actions to an image. For example, a tap action. What happens? What should happen if a user clicks or taps on the image? You will see if you use our plugin that throughout the plugin and in many components, you have this notion of action. It's a powerful way to add interactivity in a very simple way, to add interactivity to objects. So for example, I could decide that tapping on this image should show a pop-up. So I selected this action, now I create the action, and you see the show pop-up action controls are displayed here. I could add another action, and of course you need to be careful, because when you add many actions, you can get some unexpected behaviors if you have objects that interact together, going to cycles and stuff like that. But for now, I will do something pretty harmless and just add a full screen pop-up when I tap on this image, and I hit the create button to create the content of my pop-up. And as you can see, you can have content of different types. I could add a movie, I could add a slideshow. What I will do is add an HTML page. I will choose the size of my pop-up. I make it 500, or let's make it 800 pixel in width and 400 in height. And I can add a URL here. This is because the online box is checked in, so that means I will add something that's online, but I could as well choose to select a folder that contains some HTML, even HTML5 code, and embed that code into my document. Embed that full folder. So for now, I will simply do add URL. As you can see, you can also specify an alternative image in case there is no network. And this alternative image could simply be an icon that says you need to be online to be able to view this content, or could be another image, whatever. So this is going to show up only if there is no network. So here I've very simply added some enrichment to this image, making it go full screen and adding a pop-up. Let's go to another image. Okay, this image here is interesting because it shows lots of detail, and I want my users to be able to really zoom into this image to see all the details. As you may know, on the iPad you have some limitations on image sizes, And one way to go beyond those limitations, which is typically to have an image not exceed 2000 pixels in width or height, you have to create what we call tiles. It means you create smaller mosaics of the image. You cut it into mosaics and make sure that every piece is not bigger than, say, 2000 pixels. So you can handle very big images for that. And until now, creating those tiles was pretty, I mean, you had to do sort of create those in code or whatever. And here we can make it very easily in InDesign. So I will again turn this image into a picture, a rich picture, and I will click on the Use Pan and Zoom option. And you can see this option lets me specify the maximum width of the image. So here it's pretty big. It's 100,000 pixels. So let's say that my image is, I don't want it to be bigger than 10,000 pixels. I just choose that setting and I choose the size of my tiles. Here I will let this setting. This is perfect. And okay, that's it. So with just those two enrichments in place, I will save my document and I will see how it looks like. So I turn to my project manager, and the bottom part of the project manager has a number of actions which I'm interested in now. One of them is called publish, and publish means create a digital file with my content, and this file is in AV format. This is the format that we use to package digital publication. So I will hit the publish button. Yes. So what's going to happen now is it will create the full package with my 8 pages, and this involves quite a number of operations really, because it will generate preview images for the pages. It will generate a PDF version as well, and it will treat all the enrichments. And this happens in the background by invoking Photoshop to get the best quality possible for the images. So if I turn to Photoshop just quickly, at some stage you will see Photoshop doing quite a bit of work processing. Okay, now he's generating all the pages previews. And then for each image and each enrichment, it will process all the images. This image goes in full screen, so it will process different versions. And here it starts processing the tiles for this image for which I want to zoom in. You can see maybe as it's blinking pretty fast, but it's creating small versions of the mosaics. Let's go back to InDesign to avoid that blinking. Okay, so and after a few seconds of work, it will create the final package. That's done, and it's now uploading the package into the database. Okay, just wait a few more seconds. Now, once this is done, how do I view my generated content? We have an application for that, which is available from the App Store, which is called My Kiosk, and you can get it and launch it on your iPad. And soon, if you're a developer, you will be able to get the simulator version of that application as well. And this application lets you view your content. I will launch the simulator. This is the best way for me to show you this application and the result. Okay. Right. So my kiosk has an integrated database server that I have started. You can see the address of the kiosk here, and InDesign, rather the plugin that we have in InDesign is able to actually find my kiosk running on the network and send the data to it. So I just have to click on the Send to my kiosk button, and it will find all the instances of my kiosk that are running on the network. As you can see, at Aquafadas, we have a number of people working currently with this application. The one I'm interested in is the top one, because that's the one that's running on my computer. Okay, so I click the Send button, and the project has now been sent into my kiosk. So I just click on it to open it. Okay, because I haven't specified anything here about how a page should fit on the screen, it's just using the default, which is to fit it in vertically. I will change that just for, okay, put it horizontally. So here is my content. This is my document. So I can swipe to move between pages. I have this scrubber at the bottom that lets me quickly go to any page of content. Okay, so here, remember, I did set up an action that goes to the Apple website when I tap on the image. So this is what is showing up now, my little pop-up. If I double tap, the image goes full screen. This is the behavior I had set up for this image. If I go to this image, remember I've created a tiled version of it. I mean, a pan and zoom version of it. So if I double click here and I start to zoom, it will actually zoom at a very high level, which is, this image is probably 5,000 pixels in width. So I can actually zoom and see the details and manipulate an image that's much bigger than what a standard iPad is able to manipulate. Okay, so that's my first generation. It's pretty straightforward. What I want to show is maybe how to create a slideshow. So I will turn to the. Of course, I mean, we could spend lots of time talking about all the various components. There are only two more things I want to show, is how to create a slideshow, because it's sort of a standard thing, and also how to add guided reading to a document. So to create a slideshow, I will select this image here and turn it into a slideshow. So I hit the Create Slideshow button. I want to create a very simple slideshow. And the way the slideshow works is, first of all, you have a number of options that are at the slideshow level. It says, for example, can the slideshow go full screen? How does it appear? Does it show page controls? Page controls are the little buttons, the little dots that you can see sometimes at the bottom of a slideshow that shows that there are many images. So I want to enable my slideshow to go full screen, and then I will fill the content. So to do that, simply click on the File button and move to a folder with images and select the first image. So the image gets loaded into the plugin. These are big images, by the way. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a crop rectangle that's drawn on top of the image, and I can use that crop rectangle to choose how I want to frame my image inside the document. And then when it will go in full screen, it will show the full image. Let's add another one. Okay, so this is my second image. Again, I'm choosing a different crop area. So for each of the images, I can change this the crop rectangle. I can add a caption. Let's call that. And I will select this caption to only show in full screen. And again, I can add actions. Similarly to what we've seen before, you can add actions. And here you can add actions on tap events, but also on scroll events. So when you pass from one image to the next, you could trigger some action. And this can be very useful. For example, if you there is an action called change object visibility. This action lets you hide or show objects on the page. So for example, if you have an image that for which the caption or the explanatory text is on the side, like I would have, for example, a text block here that explains my image, when you swipe, you could make that text disappear and the text for the next image appear. So you could combine hide and show actions to hide and show elements on your page depending on what the user does with the images. Okay, at the slideshow level, I could animate my slideshow. So for example, I want to animate it and with a fade effect. And you can also add Ken Burn effects to the images inside the page, inside the slideshow. Let's leave it like that for now. The last thing I want to show is how you can create a guided reading in a page. And guided reading is simply the process through which the iPad reader program will actually move automatically from one point of view to the next in order for you to read a full document. So in order to do that, I will select this block of text and use the smart interactivity element. This is where guided reading or smart reading is enabled. So as you can see, there is now a list with the first box here. I will add an item, select another box, add another item, etc. So this is it can be pretty time consuming to do it manually, but you can. You can also do it automatically, as I mentioned before. You can also add images in your flow of blocks. I will simply add a few more blocks from the next page, just to show you what happens when you go between pages. Okay, last one. Okay, so now I've created a guided reading enrichment on those blocks. And let's generate. So if it will generate, I have prepared from an earlier presentation a version that has already some of those features. So while it generates, I'm going to show it to you. So this was a different slideshow that I had set up in this page, but you can see that I have the page controls. I can move between images. If I double click, I go full screen, and I can have my full screen slideshow. And I had a caption set up for this image, which is slightly different from the one I've just typed with you, but you get the point. And guided reading. If I double click on the text, it will zoom in into the text, but it will also display some new interface elements. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, there are two arrows to go to the left or to the right, and there are a few controls in the middle, which controls the zoom factor. So this allows you very conveniently to go into a piece of text and then do not worry about whether you need to zoom, whether you need to pan, whether you need to do anything. Oops, the generation is sort of taking over here. It will simply move through the text, taking into account my zoom factor. And as you can see, it will even go between pages and move exactly to minimize the number of displacements. So if I zoom less, for example, and I restart the reading of my article, I will have a different path through my text. If I turn my iPad vertically, this is what is required. These are the motions that are required to read my text. You see, it automatically adjusts. So this is very, very interesting and very, very powerful because it lets you really create engaging reading experiences in documents that are otherwise hard to read or require lots of effort by the user to sort of zoom in, etc. Here is an example, and I want to finish with that example. That's taken from the French museums, and they use our solution to create their catalogs and their exhibitions albums. And as you can see, it's the same reader as the one I've showed you before. They have let's just move to another page. Just here, okay. So they use very high quality zooming. So the really big images, you can see the paint strokes. They use guided reading, so I can double click. It's a slightly different user interface, but it lets me move between pages and between the blocks of text. Here they've chosen to use a very very hard shadow on the text blocks. You can remove everything and just have the page without any artifacts. This is a choice that's given as well. And they also have pop-ups for captions that are otherwise hard to read. And in the new version, you can even choose the font size and make them bigger. So you can have this sort of reflow. And this document has been generated in half a day, fully automatically. So I think I will probably stop my presentation here and leave it open for questions. And really inviting you to go to our website and get the plugin and the extensions to try them out. We are currently working on an update. I thought it would be released today, but it's probably going to be by the end of the week. So you will have a new version available with quite a number of bug fixes and some mainly bug fixes, not new features, but except for the quality of text, for which we've done some specific work. But yes, I hope you will enjoy it, and we'll open the question time.